Welcome back, everybody. My name is Matt. This is my channel called Flatland Relics. Uh, First order of business with tonight's video is I would like to just say thank you. I hit 100 subscribers. I'm grateful for every subscriber that I get. I'm not really in this to become some big YouTube money-making machine. I'm just in my shop having a good time, and I'm glad that many people find interest in what I'm able to produce or build or even just want to watch what I make. Thanks. I appreciate the 100 subscribers, and here's to the next 100. Now, I'm not going to work on anything in this video. I need to just discuss some stuff. I need to discuss basically a story about legacy and inspiration. Because inspiration's important, right? Anybody who's ever been into building cars or bikes or trucks or anything at all, even if you just rebuild stuff and keep it maintained, what was your first inspiration in doing that? And do you remember who the people were that kind of held the torch before you? I don't mean the hot rod books and all that, stuff you can easily obtain on YouTube now. Information's so easy to get. I'm talking about going back to like the 80s when I was a child, and my father had a shop for well over a decade, and he shared that shop space with other guys, and that's usually how shops work that were large enough to have that many bays. And this was kind of an interesting building that had a couple entrances, and one section was kind of split off from the other section. Now, the front section was my father's, and he did trucks, and he built all kinds of trucks. So that was just what he liked. The back section had a couple different people there. I believe my uncle had a space and maybe another person, but one man that was definitely renting a bay or two out of that space and had tools and cars and cool hot rod stuff was a man named Bill Heck. And Bill Heck was known to me and my father just as Hecky. That was his nickname. That's what we called him. And I would see him there now and then working on his vehicles that were in the other back section of the shop. So I kind of have to say that besides my father's trucks, my first real inspiration where I could literally put my hand on the fender of a drag race car was Hecky. This man, Bill Heck, had numerous vehicles back there that he drag raced. And I think one time he even had like a 16-foot rail dragster back there. And the shop was segmented from like a set of barn doors, but I was a kid, so I could slip through when they were chained together. I could slip through the doors and I could go check out Bill Heck's cars. And those were my first inspiration. Seeing those vehicles was the reason why I would go to ACO Drag Strip when I was in high school, and I didn't even own a car, let alone a drag car. But I wanted to see stuff race. I wanted to see stuff go fast. The hot rod ideals were getting set. And I just want to say, a big thanks to Bill Heck for having those vehicles. And of course, a big thanks to my dad for having the shop, because that was the foundation for my inspiration to build the car that I'm building now. I'm not building a drag race vehicle. I'm just building a car for fun because that's my talent level at the moment. I mean, maybe one day I'll build a drag race car, but I don't even have anywhere to go race it in New Jersey. So not in South Jersey, at least, and that's where I'm at. And if anybody is watching this and you are familiar with South Jersey and drag race history from maybe the 70s and the 80s, maybe the 90s, if you went to ACO, I'm sure you knew Bill Heck, because I was told by his daughter, who I recently met, that he became a technician after he stopped racing down there. Years later, he went back just to be one of the track techs and just be around everything. And I think that's really great. he had a profound love for building some pretty sick drag cars. Now, I don't know the ins and outs. I can't tell you the models of what he had because I was too young. But that spark of inspiration is why I have this shop. It's what has stayed with me throughout my entire life. And I'm almost 50. So, this is a long-term thing. Now, what brings me to talk about all this history, because I usually don't share this much, is I look on Facebook Marketplace all the time for engines, for cars, for motorcycles. I look around. I'm a hoarder. I'm a hot rod guy. I like to buy stuff, and I like to, look for project cars that are the best price ever. Looking for the too good to be true deal. So one day I was just perusing through Marketplace, and I happened to notice this Stack-On toolbox. And what stood out is I don't think I've ever seen anything called Stack-On before. And that's neither here nor there. I'm not talking about this brand or that brand. That's not what's important right now. And then I noticed this little NHRA sticker. And I'm just going to say, when you're looking on Marketplace for tools and stuff, you rarely ever see drag race stuff. It just seems like that stuff stays hoarded within the people that continue to do it. So this just kind of piqued my interest. And then I remember a day or two went by and I looked at the ad again, and it just felt familiar. And I don't know why it felt familiar, because I don't remember this exact toolbox. Although this toolbox was literally in that back segment of my dad's shop, because this toolbox was Bill Heck's, and he probably had it down at that shop for some period of time. It might have went with them to the track when they went on Friday nights or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was back there. So I was looking at the ad, and I was looking at the location and noticed it was local. And then I noticed the name of the person selling the toolbox, and the last name was Heck. And then it dawned on me, this has to be Bill's daughter, which I don't remember ever meeting as a child. I didn't know he had a daughter. Like I said, this period of inspiration was when I was really young and could mainly just sneak into the back of the shop and look at the cars that he would race or that he would build. And if he was there, he was always very jovial guy. He'd show me the cars and explain stuff to me and tell me this one's faster than that one. And, he'd explain it to me on a kid level, because that's what I needed at the time. But either way, a couple days went by and I said, you know what? I want to reach out and I want to see if I'm right, because I think that this is Bill Heck's old toolbox. So I sent a message across Messenger, and I asked Bill's daughter, hey, did your father ever drag race down in Atco? And did he ever have a shop, locally, and that he split with my dad? And she said, yeah, he did. And she said, oh my God, you remember my dad? You knew him. And I said, yeah, I knew him, and I told her this is the cause for my entire shop, was being able to look at the cars that Bill had back then and being able to check them out and touch them. Like, it's one thing to look at a hot rod magazine. It's another thing to be able to get into a car that has a roll cage and sit in it as a kid and act like you're driving it. So I'm just going to say, like, a little bit of a blessing happened. Bill's daughter mentioned that she had this toolbox for sale, amongst other things for sale, and that she had a lot of his tools. And I said, hey, can you hang on to everything? I'm going to stop by later on, and I really would, I'm going to try and purchase as much of that stuff as I can to kind of keep it, because it has a strange sentimental value to me. Not even a strange one. It just has a sentimental value to me, because this feels like it was literally a part of my childhood, and it's gone all the way around, 30 years later, I'm able to go and pick up stuff. So when I stopped over there, Bill's daughter was very, very kind to me, and we struck a deal And basically, I bought everything I could that was Bill's because I want to keep it in my shop. And I'm kind of honored to have this stuff. As you can see, I want to use these tools to continue to build my car or one of my bikes, because I feel like Bill would be very proud that this stuff was still being used. This is this man's legacy, and I'm going to continue to carry that torch as the best that I can. There's a lot of stuff here, and I have to go through it. There's a small amount of car parts, but then there's, you know, air hammers, air wrenches, large drive ratchets. What do we got? Ball joint separators. This one hooks to the air hammer, I believe. Remember the spreader tool I was talking about when I was building the 4-speed? Well, there it is. And man, if I had that, I would have saved about 3 hours on the video. So I just wanted to share this video, and it's not to be like, oh, look what I got, but it's to say, I'm really happy to have this tool set that I bought and this toolbox. It's a little crusty. It's a little rusty, but that's because it's old. And I might not even change it. I thought about possibly painting the bottom and sort of taking care of some of the texture, but I might just leave it that way and run it. But yeah, I wanted to just make this video and share that, because I think it's really interesting that I was able to find this. And I wasn't looking for a toolbox. I was not on Marketplace looking for a double stack toolbox, because I have a few of them. But never for a moment did I think that I was going to collect all of this. And now I'm going to integrate it all into my shop. And I'd just like to say, you know, if you knew Bill or you knew Hecky and you're familiar with ACO drag strip, you know, that's a cool piece of South Jersey history, and I'm going to continue that history, like I said, the best I can. I'd like to give a thanks to Melissa, Bill's daughter, for giving me a fair deal on everything. I know she was happy to be able to work something out, because who wants to try and sell all this stuff one wrench at a time? That would be a Marketplace nightmare, you know. So I was able to help her out, and she was able to help me out with a lot of very good stuff that I'll be using to build my car. So that's this week's video. It's short, and it's not really working on anything, but sometimes you got to take a minute and you got to think about the inspiration, the reason why we do this, the lineage in the hot rod world or the drag race world, or, you know, just what gets us to the point of wanting to have a shop and build our own vehicle. And, you know, Hecky was one of the major inspirations in my childhood. So hopefully I can live up to the standard, huh? All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll get another video up soon. I got to work on some steering stuff on the car. And thanks for the 100 subscribers. I think that's a nice little milestone for this channel. I'm glad people enjoy watching this. Have a good night. Catch you next time.